What's up? It's Tom. Thanks for being here. Just a couple of programming notes before we get started. New format for the Twin System recaps. Instead of daily, basically they're going to be split into twice weekly. First, we're going to talk about the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games because the minor leagues have Mondays off. That's what we're doing here. And then we'll talk about the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday games. So, programming note there. Also want to call out one of my weekly videos for Limestone Pipeline, the cover guy, the thumbnail guy, Quentin Young. I'm going to have highlights of him both hitting and in the field there, and I'm going to make that one free for everybody just to kind of get an idea of what I've been doing over there at Limestone Pipeline, so I'll put that link in the description. But let's get into this, starting off with some news and notes. In case you missed, Matt Wallner and Travis Adams were optioned to St. Paul. So Austin Martin getting some runway to take hold of a job with the Twins. And Zebby Matthews took advantage of an opportunity, pitched really well in his return to the Twins, and Ryan Kreidler's back up. Eli Jones was promoted to Wichita, and we'll take a look at how he played in his Double-A debut. And Yasser Mercedes was promoted to Cedar Rapids. A couple of guys who've been really good so far this season. Riley Quick, unfortunately, he's been really good, but unfortunately he exited his start with, I think the finger cramping. I think they said it was his thumb. One of his earlier starts for Fort Myers, he was looking at his hand the whole outing, and that was kind of the deal here as well. So not sure what's going on there, but Garrett Horn and Enrique Jimenez, two guys who were acquired at the trade deadline, both were on rehab assignments with the FCL Twins. And then Kalai Rosario was placed on the injured list for Wichita. So, and should call out the FCL Twins and the DSL Twins are in action. But, we don't really cover those on this channel. So let's move on to the 3 stars of Tuesday. So again, going back to Tuesday here, Winokur is the 3rd star for Cedar Rapids because he hit a home run, drew 2 walks, but the home run was a game-tying homer in a tight game. It was a 3-2 Cedar Rapids win. Winokur tied it up, and then Eduardo Tait followed him with a go-ahead home run. So they went back-to-back in that one. Jason Doktorzik, this was the game that Riley Quick exited early, and Doktorzik kind of took the game over as the bulk guy eventually. Quick was only able to record 5 outs, and Doktorzik came in and was incredibly efficient. He threw 53 pitches, to get through 5 innings. Only 1 hit. It was a solo homer, 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. So a really nice performance from him. And the 1st star of the day, Quentin Young, as we were just discussing, he had a big game. It's been rough. It has been rough overall. And if you look at his numbers, there's some scary stuff in there, but if you watch him on a regular basis, there is so much to be excited about from a guy who just turned 19, went 3 for 5 with an impressive home run on Tuesday. Talk about some of his batted ball data in just a minute because we're going to talk about his Wednesday performance as well. Here are the honorable mentions. Not going to relay all of these, but John Klein, this was his first start since being back with the Saints. After he pitched 2 games for the Twins. Topped out at 95.4 miles per hour and got 4 swinging strikes on that fastball, which he threw a little bit more than usual. He was a little bit more fastball heavy. And he only needed 40 pitches to get through 3 innings. So Klein was kind of an odd note about him getting called up, as I don't know that you could say he necessarily deserved to get called up. He had not been pitching very well. So it's really encouraging to see him have a good outing back with St. Paul. Then Darren Bowen is a guy who, since he hasn't been throwing long outings, I haven't really been featuring him much, but he's pitched really well in 10 games. And again, he's throwing more, single innings, 2 innings, used to be a starter, kind of converting into, what they have many of these long relief guys. 3.06 ERA, 0.79 whip, and 18 strikeouts in 17 2/3 innings for Darren Bowen, who was acquired in the Jorge Polanco trade. So he's starting to look a little bit more interesting. Keep an eye out on him. Moving on to the 3 stars of Wednesday. 3rd star was Miguel Braseño, who was acquired from the Brewers in the 2024 Rule 5 draft. So this is his 2nd year in the org. He's never hit much, but he's looking really good with Cedar Rapids. This is his first time in high A too. And he's actually hitting for the first time in his first taste of that level. Not like a monster game from him, but did have a walk-off sac fly. So Yasser Mercedes kind of created some havoc. He had a game-tying double in that inning, and then he scored on Briseño's walk-off sac fly. He's a utility guy, but he's mostly been playing outfield for the Colonels just based off of where they've needed him. So, second star, again, mentioned that Eli Jones was getting called up to Wichita. This was his Double-A debut. I really think Double-A is a huge proving ground for guys, especially, like a college guy like Eli Jones. When these guys really do well in Fort Myers or Cedar Rapids, it's hard to really invest too much into those performances. Obviously, you want to see them play well. But Double-A is really where you get to, okay, let's see, this is the separator. So, obviously it's only one game, but really encouraging to see Eli Jones pitch like he has all year for the Colonels, really. I'm going to take a look at the pitching-only star scoreboard. So we'll do that every once in a while since there are more hitters at the top, and he is just above and beyond everybody else so far. Through 43 of his 61 pitches for strikes, that is 70% strikes that he threw, which has kind of been his formula so far. He's got a 6-pitch mix, and he's throwing harder than he had been last year. Kind of sat 92 last year, and I'm not sure what he's averaging this year because we don't get that data. We don't get nearly as much data available for Cedar Rapids or Wichita. On Baseball Savant, that data's not out there. But I saw 96 on, whatever their broadcast they were using. I don't know that is sort of your Hawkeye, the same technology that is used in MLB stadiums, or if that's just a stadium gun, but we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that moving forward. And then first star, there's been multiple guys who are new to me, new to the system, and this guy is Quinn McDaniel. This was his second game in the system on Wednesday. He went 3 for 5 with a homer and 2 doubles. That's 10 total bases. That's as many total bases as you record if you hit for the cycle. So Quinn McDaniel went off, also drove in 5 runs. He's a former 5th-round pick of the Giants who was released in March, signed with the Twins just this week. He'd been playing for the independent South Maryland Blue Crabs, which you might recognize that name because that's where Peyton Eels signed from as well. He's logged 200-plus games in High A. So you expect him to be with Cedar Rapids before too long. Both of his triples were hit in excess of 100 miles per hour. Both of them went off the wall. So he hit a home run and then 2 triples off the wall. So just went off. But again, kind of maybe playing below his level of competition, to be fair. Quentin Young, want to circle back to him. Again, not going to rattle off all these honorable mentions, but do want to say Billy Amick homered. We'll talk more about him in a sec. Quentin Young hit a home run, 1 for 5, not as good as a game on Wednesday, but his first 2 games of this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, just this week, he had 7 balls he hit in excess of 100 miles per hour on exit velo. 4 of which were hit 110 miles per hour or harder. To put that into perspective, no Twins hitter has 4 110 exit velos this season. And of course, they've played more games than Fort Myers has. So Quentin Young did it in 2 days. His power, I think he's got like 70 grade power, raw power. And sometimes he can get to it. Obviously, he's striking out a ton. Pitch recognition, I think, isn't as a big thing that he needs to get more experience with. He's never seen pitching this good. Some guys are just freaks. Some of these teenagers are just freaks and can hit off of this an incredibly higher level of pitching than they've ever seen. Quentin Young just isn't going to be that kind of a guy, but I do think he has pretty good strike zone judgment. It's just, he's having a tough time recognizing pitches, but when he gets a hold of him, oh my God, does he let it rip? Super impressive. Again, 4 batted balls of 110 plus exit velo in just 2 games. Just can't freak out about that enough. So he's been really fun to watch. Moving on to Thursday, 3 stars of Thursday. Third star, Colton Smith, who is a 2025 12th round pick out of Georgia. He's been sneakily nasty, just disgusting. 3 2/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 strikeouts in relief. He threw sliders for about half of his pitches. Now he has 33 strikeouts in 20 2/3 innings. He is by far the system leader in strikeout percentage among anybody who has 20 innings at 37.9. A stat I really like for pitchers is K minus walk percentage. He's not walking a ton of guys either. So his K minus walk percentage is 29.9 for Colton Smith. That ranks 18th among the 725 minor league pitchers who have at least 20 innings pitched. So again, his strikeout minus walk percentage ranks 18th among a sample of 725 guys. So yeah, Colton Smith, definitely somebody to get on your radar, pitching very well for Fort Myers. Second star of Thursday, Sam Armstrong, who had a really nice start for Wichita. 4 innings of shutout ball, only 1 hit. He's had a couple good starts back-to-back. Now his last 2 outings, 8 innings of 1 hit shutout ball with 7 strikeouts. His outing before this nice back-to-back was a nightmare. He gave up 7 runs in that one, so rough, that last start of April. But his 2 starts in May have been really good, so maybe you could say Armstrong's been a little bit better than his overall numbers look. Still is walking too many guys, so encouraging to see him only issue 1 free pass in 4 innings yesterday. And then Billy Amick, mentioned we were going to talk about him. He had his 10th home run on Wednesday. He had his 11th, system-leading 11th home run on Thursday. I don't know what the difference is between last year and this year, but he is hitting so many more home runs. Only 7 minor league hitters have more home runs than Billy Amick. He's tied for 8th in home runs across all of minor league baseball. He only hit a home run every 67 plate appearances about last year. He is hitting a home run every 13 plate appearances so far this season. That is wild to me. But the thing is, like, this is kind of what we were expecting Billy Amick to be when he got drafted, because he had 23 home runs his final year at Tennessee. So power was really supposed to be his carrying tool. It was pretty confusing that he didn't hit for power in Cedar Rapids last year. And it's almost equally confusing that, I mentioned Double-A is such a proving ground. Well, this guy moves up to Double-A. Now all of a sudden he's hitting home runs like he's Babe Ruth or something. So pretty crazy. He also had a double and was hit by a pitch in that game yesterday. Played third. He's been playing quite a bit of first as well. So Billy Amick, very much back on the radar. And he had a good year last year still. He just missed a lot of time. But he had a great on-base percentage for the Colonels. Then here are the honorable mentions. Kyle DeBarge, who's getting the chance to play shortstop, had a 3-hit night. Caleb Roberts, yet another new name to the system, another guy weirdly similar to Quinn McDaniel. This was also his second game in the system yesterday. He's also a former 5th-round pick, weirdly, also got released. He was in the Diamondback system. Roberts stalled out in Double-A, so he is with Wichita. He's not way down in Fort Myers, so they stuck him just straight in Wichita because he spent a lot of time in Double-A. He was in Indy ball. He was with the Long Island Ducks, which is the same place the Twins signed Henry Kuziak, who kind of has been playing more for Fort Myers. So they've signed 2 guys from Long Island Ducks, and that's noteworthy because Lou Ford, who was the longtime player/coach for the Long Island Ducks, he's now their manager. He's been their manager for a couple of years now. So both of these guys played for Lou Ford. That's kind of a fun little side note for Roberts and Kuziak. So, yeah, Caleb Roberts, he's got catching experience, too. He played outfield. That's kind of his primary gig now these days, but he has caught a bunch in the minors. Didn't catch as much last year, though, so I'm not sure if the Twins have any... They love doing that with guys, having guys catch and play other positions. Ricardo Olivar, you see listed on here is another one. Jaime Ferrer is another one. They have a few guys, Kadeem Jow. So I wouldn't shock me if they get him back there. But another indie ball signing will be interesting to follow Caleb Roberts. So that is the info for the stars of the day for each of the first 3 days. Let's get to the star scoreboard update. So Kalen Culpepper, who got 1 honorable mention, he's still atop the list, but Eli Jones has now moved into second place. Alan Roden, of course, has been out, so he's been passed up. Ricardo Olivar in this kind of May surge. He's had Billy Amick in this May surge. Those guys have very much put themselves in the mix. Quentin Young, I think this is one of the more fun things about doing this star scoreboard is it's not going to punish the guys who have bad games. It's going to solely reward the guys who have monster performances. And I think this is a good balance of, you can look at Quentin Young and say, oh, he's playing terrible. And I'm not saying we should hide from that. His overall numbers look pretty bad. But looking at things on this manner, it highlights like, wait a minute. Yes, if you just look at the overall numbers, it's rough. This guy's really challenged right now. But doing things this way, it shows this guy have had flashes, and not just flashes of have some decent games here and there. There's flashes of brilliance throughout his performances. So he is up in the mix there. Moving on, again, I mentioned I was going to show the full pitching list for the year. Eli Jones has almost doubled up the next best pitcher. James Ellwanger, he's been out for a while. He was really pacing things for a minute there, but Dason Hill also tied at 12. He's been very inconsistent. Riley Quick, he's had some shorter outings. Again, had the finger issue in this last performance. Ty Langenberg's been really good and consistent. Reed Moring's had a couple of really insane outings, but it's kind of been hit and miss. Ryan Gallagher, who's up with the Saints now. Connor Prelip, of course, up with the Twins now. CJ Culpepper, who's now, I don't know what they're doing with him. Since he got promoted to St. Paul, he's been like a single inning reliever. His last outing was not good. I think that was Wednesday. He got roughed up pretty good, but kind of weird that, they take a guy who's been a starter. He was a reliever in college though. So I'm curious to see what CJ Culpepper is going to look like in this role, but to both promote him to AAA for the first time and kind of change his role. I think he's just being asked a lot at the moment. But that's, Zebby Matthews, of course, he got promoted too. So a lot of the things keeping the pitchers down, obviously they don't get as many opportunities to score as much as the hitters do. But tons of these guys have been promoted or have been injured. So that's another thing that's kind of working against the pitchers in terms of the overall star leaderboard. Should call out too, we eclipsed 100 different players who've reached any kind of a star this season. On May 15th, we're already to 100 different players, with these indie ball guys coming in. Insane. But we'll keep moving on. Again, changing things up to where we're talking about 3 games at a time. Let me know what you think about this new format. Let me know what you think could be added or subtracted or whatever. What do you think about this? Again, I'm going to have Quentin Young highlights, hitting and defensive highlights over on Limestone Pipeline. I'm going to make that one for free. So check that out. Thanks for checking this one out. I appreciate you. We'll talk again on either Sunday evening or Monday morning, afternoon. I'll have that published. So see you then.